Podcast. I'm excited today because today is the other half of yesterday's. Yesterday, I was Road to 50 Million, the Agony, and today is the Ecstasy. And if you remember yesterday's thing, it's about that Irving Stone book about Michelangelo, the Agony and the Ecstasy. And I broke it up into two parts because there is both in our lives, agony and ecstasy. But I can tell you, I'm having mostly ecstasy right now. Every day is a glorious, beautiful, fabulous, wonderful day, and I sometimes have to pinch myself because it's so much fun. So here's what I did today. You want to know what fun I did today? I went to the dentist's office because about 3 days ago, I broke a tooth. One of my molars, a chunk came off, and and it hurt a little, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to have terrifying pains. And I thought, tooth pain is grumpy, or can be really, really grumpy, but I didn't know. So I sent a text at night to a different dentist who's a good friend of mine, and he got back to me right away and said he was out of town and asked me some questions about how the pain was and where it was radiating and gave me some ideas, et cetera, et cetera. So I went today to the dentist's office, this guy's office, and he is the one that did the last time I had a crown. He did it, and he's a fabulous, fabulous, meticulous, careful, good dentist. But anyway, he took a look at me and gave me the scoop, and a crown that I already had broke, and it turns out that tooth already had many years ago a root canal, so there was no nerve pain because, of course, the nerve is gone. So that was my ecstasy today. You know what it was? I don't have pain. I have to get a crown. It's going to have to be gold. It's going to cost a good amount of money, and that's okay. I look forward to it, and I'm excited to it. That's ecstatic. And here's the fun part. My road to 50 million is about helping 50 million people to discover and serve with their gifts, right? To just find the gifts that they have and choose to serve with them. Well, here's how my day started before we even did that. Today, we had to take our kitten, to get spayed. And getting her to, go in one of those car carriers was quite a circus this morning. So I'm wearing half a dozen, blood-soaked holes on my hands where she objected to the procedure, not the spaying, but being inserted in a carrier to go in the car. And I was trying to be as nice as possible, and Joy won't even do it. I failed twice, and eventually Nadia, our Ukrainian mother who's here with us, she was able to do it. So she's better at that than I am. And she laughed afterwards and said her kitten's worse than that. So that's how my glorious day started, with holes all over in my hands and blood everywhere. And then I went to the dentist to talk about a hole in my tooth. It's going to cost, considerable amount of money to fix. Why would I say today is an ecstatic day? Ecstasy every single day. Well, I'll tell you why. I'm not making this up. It's really true. Last night, I had the opportunity to interview on my new LA Talk radio show. Last night was episode 2, and I'm so excited about it. Dr. D, and she was a fabulous guest, and we dug in to important things about why we feel disempowered, why we fail to communicate, and what to do about it. Digging up the why we do this, that, and the other is only a small part of the issue. Sometimes it helps to understand why, and sometimes it doesn't even matter. What really matters more is how bad do you want to fix it. Sometimes that's more important than any digging into the why. So that was a fabulous interview, and I found several more people today that are interested in being on that LA Talk radio show. So here's what I know. If you watch this and you have a message you want to share, because my goal is to help 50 million people. Do you want to be one? Would you like help? Maybe you're living exactly as you wish to live. You have the purpose that drives you every day and you're excited. You have all the prosperity, cash, relationship, health that you want. And maybe your life is unconditional joy like mine is now. And if you are, I love that. And I'm grateful to know you. I'm grateful that you watched any of this and to be connected. I would love further to talk with you because you are exactly who I want to help spread the truth that you can achieve what you have achieved and to spread your power and your message. So if you're listening to this and you think, getting in front of Sam, the owner of the station, told me the reach is between 500,000 and sometimes more. So that's a lot of people. That's fun. If that's a reach you want, reach out to me. Let's talk. Because my goal is to help people serve with their gifts. And if that's what you're doing, I want to help. Another piece of that goal is to help people that are struggling. Now, this was funny today because after the appointment, I was chatting with the nurse, the dental nurse, or dental assistant. I don't know exactly the name they have, but whatever. And she was talking about herself and her husband and her daughter and their family and the personal development stuff they'd done. And she asked me, what I did. And it was funny because before I said what I did, I talked about another thing I'd been sucked into, which is next week I'm heading to San Francisco to do a deposition, not a deposition, but appear at a hearing as an expert witness. And, that's fine. I've done that sort of stuff before, but it's from the old world. And so it was funny. She asked about that. And then she said, well, what do you do today? So we started talking about coaching and what it is and how you help people, and that we mostly, and this was the funny part of the conversation, this conversation that I had with her and another gal at the front as we were checking out and looking at a next appointment could have been anywhere at any time. Like, I have literally had this conversation hundreds of times. Now, the names are changed. The circumstances are slightly different. But the content of the energetic content is the same, and I'll tell you what I mean. Both of these women are successful professionals. They work in a dental office. It's a prestigious dental office, and they're both married, and they have kids, and they appear to be doing okay, and they represented that. But they talked about overwhelm. They talked about not being able to get what they want done, and they talked specifically about repeatedly making commitments to themselves and not keeping them. Yeah, I know, da-da-da. And then they talked a bit about spouses. What do we do about our husbands? Like there was something to do about them. And their conversation was completely typical. So many thousands of times have I heard, well, the problem is out there. It's over there. It's the money, time, economy, COVID, job, whatever it is. And that's the reason I can't get done what I want to get done. That's the reason that I don't have all the money I want. That's the reason I'm not as happy as I could be. I'm not in the shape I want to be. All of those things. And it was just, it made me both laugh inside and it made me sad. It made me laugh because it's the same conversation over and over and over again. It made me sad because it is so cookie cutter, which means that something about our socialization and our process trains us to believe we can't do stuff. It trains us to believe we're stuck where we are, that much of an elevation is beyond our reach, and that all those powerful things we see and hear other people do, it's for other people, somebody somewhere, but I certainly can't do that. We're somehow trained to believe it, and we do. And that is the definition of agony. You have a gold-plated heart. You have a high-powered engine for a soul. You have a high-powered engine for a soul. You can have anything you want, yet you have learned to put a limiter on the rev speed of your engine and stop in second gear. And you do it day in and day out, and you blame other things, other people, and other circumstances. And so you run through your life with the rev limiter, wondering why you can't get out of second gear and why you can't get above 30 miles an hour. Well, it's not a mystery. You're not broken. It's not impossible. And the way to do this is known. Now, one of the pieces of this conversation was delightful, and it was that, one of the ladies, and it doesn't matter which one, doesn't matter who actually, was talking about their spouse and that they both, do personal development work, and they understand clearly personal development is a personal thing and I have to do mine. and you do yours, and that's fine. And then I laughed a little and I said, and I'll bet there are times when you're frustrated because your partner isn't hurrying up fast enough on their personal development. And they laughed, of course, nodded ruefully that, yes, of course, that was true. And there are so many of these principles, ideas, and things that we just swallow. We live in that somehow this is how the world works, and we're stuck here. What if you knew? Talk about ecstasy. What if you knew none of that was true? I mean, like knew it to the core, not knew it because I said so or because you read it in some book or you heard somebody jump up and down on the podium of a conference you went to. What if you knew with all your heart you could have anything you want? If you just followed a certain set of steps, would you do it? See, there's several layers of questions, but let's take that apart a little bit. If you knew that you would have the successful outcome you imagine you want if you took all these steps, whatever they are, would you do it? Most of us would be inclined to say, well, of course I would. That answer means, well, I hear the words, but I don't believe it's true. I don't believe that if I do those things, I'll get there. In fact, I believe I'll waste a lot of energy and effort and try, and it won't work anyway. And then I'll go, wow, what a waste of time and of effort, time and effort. And that didn't even happen. That sucks, right? So that's one thing it means. Another thing it could mean is, well, it works for other people. It's not for me. Another thing it means is, yeah, that's all hype and it won't really work anyway. Right? So and there are more layers of the answer to the question, if you knew. Another whole avenue of that is, what does it mean to know? Like, if you walk off the edge of a building, you know what's going to happen. You know it so profoundly that most of the time, if you walk to the guardrail on a high tower or on a high cliff overlooking a canyon like the Grand Canyon, or over a street where it's, 100 feet down or 200 or 500, you have a physical, visceral reaction because your knowledge of the law of gravity is so deep, so profound, and so connected to your life experience that you know that if you step off that, you'll die. You'll fall off the cliff and break your face on the sidewalk. That's knowing something. So sometimes when we say, yeah, I know all that, what we're really saying is, well, I've heard all that crap before and I don't believe it. That's what we're really saying. So the question is, if you knew, like the law of gravity is true, that if you followed a certain set of steps, you could have what you want, the likelihood is way higher that you would do it because you knew it like the law of gravity. So knowing something like that is a path to the ecstasy of completion, the ecstasy of purpose, prosperity, and joy, the ecstasy of being exactly who you want to be in the world. It's so much fun to have no fear, to live without worry, and to just be in a life where you love every day. And you hear me say this every single day. My commitment is to help 50 million people. I am going to reach that number, and I am going to help you if you'll let me. I'm not going to try to make people, I'm going to make you let me help you. I'm not going to do that. But I can tell from the yearning that I hear in people's voices and the noise that I hear in conversations and even on social media and stuff, there's a huge upwelling of desire to be more, to have more, to not settle for the old. That's where we are. We're at the nexus of opportunity. We have technology, we have tools, we have more neuroscience, more physics, more neuroplasticity, and all of the rest of those discoveries to validate what we have always known, and that is we're divine, we can change, we can create, and you can have anything you want. So if what's holding you back is you don't believe it, somewhere down in the core, you don't really believe it. Either you don't believe it can happen or you don't believe it can happen for you. Either one of those, same thing. You end up not doing it, right? Not creating the best self, taking advantage of the opportunities and everything else. So I want to promise you, from my experience, you're divine and you can have anything you want. I can also promise you it won't happen if you keep living like you're living. It won't happen if you just guess. It won't happen if you don't get help. It won't happen if you just wish really hard for it. And even if you paint vision boards and everything else, you have to take the steps. I can stand on this side of the street and wish to be across the street all I want, and I won't go there. I guess there's an earthquake and the street moves, but that's unlikely and will cause a lot of collateral damage. You can have what you want, but you are the actor in your life. You're the sovereign, you're the creator, you're the person who writes the script. So take the pen firmly in your hand, write the script from your heart, create the ecstasy, the good feeling, the certainty, the joy, the ecstatic excitement of living into your divine purpose. Maybe you're a creator, maybe you write, maybe you paint, maybe you serve people, maybe you love better than anyone, maybe you're an inventor, maybe you're an engineer, maybe you're a gardener, maybe you're a widget creator of something I can't even pronounce. I was looking up dogs the other day and I learned the name of a Mexican short-haired dog, and they look really cute, and it's Zilo, I can't even say it. So I learned the name of an unpronounceable dog, and you know where I learned that? I learned it reading a book called Dogs by National Geographic. It's a new edition about how they see and hear and love and where they came from and their evolution, and I can't wait to read the rest of it. And I learned about a new dog today. My invitation from my heart is to live into the best you. Don't accept excuses from yourself. There's no need, there's no reason. You're capable. Let me help you, or get some help somewhere else. But standing around not living into your divine capability is only limiting for you. The world's going to go on without either one of us. My choice is to get in and add good to the world. I invite you to join me. I'll see you tomorrow on the road to 50 million.